Friends, now the one of the hottest topics in our country, and that has become one of the central political questions also, is connected with the economic reservation. That means economically weaker sections, reservation to EWS. So this EWS reservation has now become part of the Indian Constitution. With the Supreme Court endorsing the 103rd Amendment of the Indian Constitution made by Modi government in 2019 and the split verdict of the Supreme Court, 3 majority and 2 minority, a decision is being taken that is constitutional. Now, before coming to the question of this economic reservation and other things, I must first want to say the political context in which this situation or this court judgment is coming. That is very important today because in 1991, the Rao government promulgated an executive order granting 10% reservation to economic reservation to so-called economically weaker sections. Before that, the CPIM on November 4, 1990, in a Central Committee resolution, has demanded that economic reservation should be implemented in all government jobs. That was the context in which the Mandal Commission was coming forward, Mandal report, then the Temple campaign against that. A very turbulent political situation was there. It was at that time that on the right wing RSS forces, Hindutva forces, and on the left wing CPIM, with this backing, the Congress put forward the economic reservation, 10% economic reservation in 1991. But in 1993, the constitution, 9-member constitution bench of the Supreme Court struck down that order of the Rao government without a second thought. They said that it is unconstitutional. Because as per the Indian Constitution, economic reservation, there is no provision. Because as per the Indian Constitution, reservation is done for the historical injustice, discrimination against the oppressed caste by the upper caste. And it is for an atonement as a penance to this historical injustice that reservation is implemented in the Constitution. And it was upholding that position that reservation is not a poverty alleviation program. It is not a program for removing economic inequality, but it is a specific program for removing social injustice and for representation of the untouchables and the oppressed in the mainstream social order, that this caste-based reservation became part of the Indian Constitution, and it became the core of the Constitution, the basic structure of the Constitution. And therefore, this positive discrimination is essential for bringing out equality. Only through a positive discrimination towards those sections who have historically discriminated, only through that positive discrimination can equality be achieved. That is whether the Constitution will achieve equality or not, that is not another question. I am not going into those details. But that was the spirit. But now we see the Congress government failed because the Supreme Court upheld that constitutional, that the basic principle of reservation enshrined in the Indian Constitution Supreme Court upheld and said that there is no provision for economic reservation as per the Indian Constitution. And it also said that there is no question of a crossing of these reservation 50% quota cannot be crossed. And therefore, including the OBC. As per the Mandal provision, when the OBC quota is also implemented, total reservation should be less than 50%. That was understanding. And we know that since then, there has been an offensive, a right-wing offensive. The Hindutva forces led by the RSS were very active, and the soft Hindutva pursued by Congress was also advancing, and the Rao government, the Manmohan government that ruled India from 2004 to 2014. The Vajpayee government could not touch that because the constitution, when the Supreme Court upheld that this economic reservation is an antithesis of the constitution, naturally then Vajpayee government did nothing. But the Congress government tried to bring a constitutional amendment. Work was there. In 2015, while participating in a election campaign in in Bihar, in October, Modi said that those who are going for this economic reservation and crossing the quota, 50% quota, they are dishonest. That is his famous statement. Dishonest. Because he is using the same populist, the same what is called rhetoric to catch votes and to tarnish the Congress that they are violating the constitution, but he is upholding the constitution. But we know that every fascists are adept in using populist slogans. But when they come to power, they will go their own way. That is history. I am not going into those details. When Modi came to power in 2015, the then Supreme Court judges Gogoi and Niranjan, two justices, they made a historic judgment, comment that there should be a new matrix for reservation. This matrix should be composed of a differentiated, it is composed of a differentiated category, a matrix, differentiated matrix, which is composed of educational backwardness, economic backwardness, stature of the family. Such issues should be taken into consideration for reservation. So that means the question of how caste-based reservation is being diluted, that process is going on. And throughout there has been a campaign in India that it is reservation that leads to casteism. It is not reservation is required by or is made, it is necessitated by caste system, not like that. It is reservation that leads to casteism in India. That was a way in which intellectuals and the mainstream media began to discuss. Therefore, we must see that Mohan Bhagwat, he said that there is nothing about caste. There is no meaning in saying caste. Caste is irrelevant. This is what people say. So caste is not relevant. That what the CPM and the mechanical communists also said. They said that when communists come to power, caste will be withering away. At that time, it was Ambedkar who called them Brahmin boys. Because in India, when you make a class analysis, unless you study the caste system that cuts across base and superstructure, that means the material basis and the cultural superstructure, and how it is a decisive factor in the class formation, how it is a decisive factor in the division of labor in India, how it is a decisive factor in wealth appropriation, political power, everything. Without that, you cannot have a class analysis. So, without knowing this, the so-called left sections also said that caste is meaningless. And even RSS, even you see, this Goldwalker said Hinduism is casteism. It is clear. So, there is no meaning in saying about casteism. It is Hinduism in casteism. So, every time you need not mention that it is there. So, it should be there, it will continue. So, this was the understanding prevailing. And it was in that context that Modi, his agenda of a Hindu Rashtra, that means a Hindu Rashtra whose ideological basis is Manuvada Hindutva. which is Brahmanical ideology, which is against the vast majority of the oppressed and the toiling people, the vast majority of the oppressed and the untouchables. So that is what Modi is planning under the instance of RSS. So RSS is RSS has succeeded in bringing out the one-third constitutional amendment in 2019, and the Supreme Court has endorsed it because the situation is different today. Today, court also has become part of the system. Today, judiciary, not only neo-fascism has penetrated, RSS has penetrated into the whole micro and macro aspects of society. Every sphere, every material sphere and cultural sphere, military, civil service, administration, education, culture, judiciary, everywhere it is there. So they have succeeded in carrying out their agenda in a very through covert and overt means. That also need not explain here. It is in this context that the court also took a position that economic reservation is now possible and it is essential for achieving equality. That is what they said. Then let us see what is happening here. What is the principle of equality? There should not be any discrimination. Here in this economic reservation, OBCs, SC, STs, all are excluded. Only the upper caste who already control. For example, a few years back there was a census. A census means a data that 77% of the class 1 posts are held by the upper caste. So it is there is no statistics. There is no evidence to prove that the upper caste are suffering from economic disadvantage. Because as per our evidence, as per our understanding, the whole economy, the whole corporates, the whole wealth appropriation are done by the upper caste people. So it is to them again purely for them. That means the others are excluded and those who are belonging to the OBC, SC, ST are excluded. So if economic reservation for them, should be applicable because they are already having caste reservation. Now economic reservation is now counterpoised. It is pitted against caste reservation and the idea, the agenda that is put in the constitution is now totally undermined by this economic reservation. Now, by this, the constitutional understanding on or the constitutional position of equality itself is violated because it is a totally upper caste oriented reservation. It is not economic reservation, it is upper caste oriented reservation. That will be the best way of saying it. Now let us come to another aspect. What is whether it is in the case of India alone? There are more than almost 25% of the world countries today, including South Africa, USA, and many other countries. This some form of affirmative action is there. Affirmative action means those alternative actions, positive discrimination, which are there for those people, those who are oppressed, discriminated because of historical factors, historically discriminated because the African Americans, similarly the other such because of gender, because of race, because of geographical factors, many are discriminated. They are never in this affirmative discrimination, affirmative actions, nowhere in the world economic question is involved. Everything is based on non-traceable, intractable factors. For example, caste, you cannot show it. There is caste, it is embedded. Caste is embedded in society. So you cannot trace economic question, you can trace. That man has this much income, this man has that much wealth. So it is easy for you to find out. But this caste is intractable and untraceable. It is to overcome that intractable and untraceable oppression that this reservation is instituted. So this is a outright violation of the Indian Constitution. I must conclude saying one more point. That is, this RSS, which is now controlling the regimes of Indian power today, the longest running and the biggest fascist organization in the world, we must know. So they actually had tried in 1949 and 50 when the Indian Constitution was being drafted led by Dr. Ambedkar, when the Constituent Assembly was drafting the Constitution and when it was adopted by the Constituent Assembly on November 26, 1949. That is why we celebrate the Constitution Day. So today is the Constitution Day, November 26. So when the Constituent Assembly was drafting it, RSS in their organ, their mouthpiece, organizer. The name is organizer. They wrote an article demanding. I think that it may be in the editorial also. They demanded that instead of the constitution led by Dr. Ambedkar, the Manusmriti should be the constitution. They demanded. And when when India adopted the constitution in 1950 to January 26, again in January they repeated that Manusmriti should be the constitution. That is RSS. What is Manusmriti? Why Ambedkar banned Manusmriti on December 25, 1927? Because that is the ideological basis of casteism. That is the ideological basis of fascism in India. Today, the ideological basis of neo-fascism in India is this manual. That is that RSS tried to put forth as Indian constitution. Now they are doing it. At that time they tried it openly. Today they are doing it through their control through their clout over the entire administration. We know that the decisions are not taken in parliament today. These decisions are taken in corporate boardrooms. So no, RSS is free. They are doing it. Nobody can say that they are doing like this. But what is happening is that now why they are declaring that while RSS is moving, engaged in a mad rush towards establishing a Hindu Rashtra. By 2025, they will be celebrating a century of RSS formation. By that time, they are planning to convert India a Hindu Rashtra. And some are saying that already a constitution in accordance with this Hindu Rashtra is also in the formative stage by sannyasis and etc. Some meetings are there, which are already known in reports. What I am saying is that now, not only Dalits, now along with this economic reservation, the CAA, Uniform Civil Code, many other methods, tools are taken up. So all these are what is called a all-out offensive against the so-called constitution, the Republican constitution which we call. We are also critical of the constitution. We say that the constitution has its drawbacks, but still that constitution has that what is called the right to dissent, public opinion. You can have the right to free opinion, free expression. So now that is being taken away. That is being snatched away. So it is a critical situation that this biggest ever offensive against the Dalits and the untouchables and those who are constitutionally getting reservation, that is now undermined. Now, in conclusion, I have to say, very revealingly, in 2015, I have said that Ranjan Gogoi and this Nariman had made a revealing statement. In this split judgment, in the Supreme Court judgment, the majority panel, women judge, Justice Bela Trivedi, she said that it is time to end caste-based reservation, and if the caste-based reservation is over, then it will be the roadmap, it will be a move towards what we will be moving towards an egalitarian, casteless, classless society. So that is what she said. This is the agenda now being superimposed. So we should, all well-meaning people, all democratic people, all who are on the side of democracy, all who are on the side of social justice, all who are against oppression, it is high time that we should come forward and a broadest possible movement against this Hindutva offensive is taken up at the earliest. This is what I have to say on this question.
What is the REDSTAR party alternative to the EWS?
Actually, our party position is that because we have a program. Communists have always have a program. We have a idea of our own idea of constitution is different. We are moving towards a society where there will not be any private property. That means we are moving towards social. Our agenda is that. Now, in the immediate context that we are now in the short term, we are moving towards a people's democratic state where all corporates, all foreign capital will be controlled and all speculative forces will be controlled, and where peasants, national capitalists, and those who are with this country or who are for a democratic, national oriented development, we will be with them. But we are openly saying we move towards a society where there is no private property. Therefore, that it is implicit that our method is different. But at the same time, caste reservation is a different question. It is a special democratic right that should be there until this casteism is over. So we have formulated a caste, we have formed a caste annihilation movement. So long as caste is there, so long as caste oppression is there should be positive discrimination, there should be reservation for the man. CPM and REDSTAR is demanding that caste reservation should be extended to private sector also. That is our position. It's very clear. We are saying that today reservation should be extended from public sector to private sector because all public sectors are being privatized.
Yeah.
Therefore, we demand reservation, extension of reservation. So long as casteism is there, so long as this caste society is prevailing, so long as India is a caste-ridden society, there should be reservation, there should be affirmative action, there should be positive discrimination against the oppressors. That is our position.
Even after the revolution also, there's a caste basis question is there. It will be there. So that time also you have to implement also.
What I said is, so long as caste system is there, because it is not a material thing. Caste is in your mind. Caste is seated in the thrones of modern technology.
Yeah.
It is there in science and research institutions. People who are scientists and technical experts who are migrating to imperialist countries, USA, they are exporting caste.
Yeah.
Now in America, in Pennsylvania, a case is going on against untouchability, where these IT professionals are migrating, they are taking caste. So caste is not like that an economic question. So caste it's a continuous, long drawn out struggle. So we cannot claim that all of a sudden we can eliminate caste. And caste means you have to live with, your life. So that means it's a process. It's a program. That means then you have to love freely. Now if you love a low caste man, if loves an upper caste girl, what will happen? Immediately he will be eliminated.
Yeah.
And if you die, if an untouchable enter your, if a Dalit enter your ground, you have to follow the caste practice. It is here. Even the so-called pandits, even the so-called intellectuals, they are practicing it. We know this. So caste is there everywhere. Even those religions to whom conversion has been there is also caste. Even these Dalit Christians, they are still called Dalit Christians who are converted into Christianity. They are Dalit Christians.
Yeah.
They are elite Christians and Dalit Christians.
Even Muslim also, there's Rabba.
So caste is capable enough to migrate. Caste is transmigrating. It is cutting across everything. It is there. So it is not a simple thing. Our position is that so long as caste is there should be. Caste means it is oppression. It is oppression against one section of the people who are the real tillers, who are the workers, who are the toilee. So long as that is there should be reservation. This is our position. And even if we establish, even if CPM and REDSTAR captures now gets power, we will continue with this. We will strengthen it.
Yeah. Have to strengthen it.
Yes. This is our position.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.